Spider-Man, The Smurfs, Pac-Man, G.I. Joe, Scooby-Doo. Feature films include the vocals for the main character in King Kong, The Gremlins, the Human Alien in the Predator films, the voice of Car in the Knight Rider TV series, video game credits, Mario and Donkey Kong, and now the Transformers Prime Video. Igor. I'm a Jewish guy from Brooklyn, but I never knew anyone named Igor or Igor. Jeez. How did you get to be a voiceover person? How did that come about?
Well, Larry, it probably was accidental. When I was a kid, I could do animal sounds, you know, the calves in the barn. I could do horses. I could do the wings. All kinds of dogs. And I could do cats.
You did dogs by breeds?
Yeah, I could do dogs by breeds. I literally could. I could separate a small dog from a large dog, which would always confuse the people that I was working for at the time.
But how did you come to do it as a profession?
Well, that didn't happen until years later. I had a midnight to 6 o'clock in the morning radio show called Milkman's Matinee. I had a huge audience in Montreal. I think 18 night watchmen, the nurses in the general hospital, you know, just a variety of
typical all night.
But I was very lonely, I guess, and I would entertain myself by interviewing people that weren't there. I would impersonate them.
You'd invent characters coming into the studio?
I would invent characters that would come in, and I would...
Like, give me an example.
Well, right off the top of my head, I said there would be people like Walter Brennan or John Wayne, you know, and nobody would believe it, but I would say, well, you know, this is really an opportunity now because Walter Brennan just walked in. Sit down here, Walter. I'll tell you what, Pete. You know, it's nice to be here today. I've never had so much fun. What time is it? It's about 3:30. Dear me, it's time to get to bed.
So this is a little psychotic, right? You would do these things, and did someone discover this? I mean, how did it start that you would do voiceovers?
Well, then they would give me the job of recording some of the commercial advertisers on the radio station, and I got to do a regular voice for a while. And then they made me write copy, so I would write copy and then do my own narration to it. I lasted about a year, and that was it for me. Somebody came down and said, you know, you should be on the stage.
So you did theater?
I got into theater. Excuse me. I had graduated from the National Theatre School of Canada. I went to Toronto, did a year of repertory theater, came back to Montreal, was disenchanted with the business, and that's how I got the CKGM radio job. And that led to cafe comedy stuff, and that led to television and radio.
What was your first big break? What was the first voiceover you did that got you noticed?
It would have to have been when I was in Hollywood now, and I had done a movie, or a 2-hour special, to replace Laugh-In, and I got a sad awakening when we saw the 2-hour special. And my manager just went, it's going to go nowhere, Peter. And 2 weeks later, I was asked to do The Little Man in the Ball on the Sonny and Cher show, and at the same time, wait for 16 counts and then say, well, I went like this. Oh, you really want you to do that? It's a Sonny and Cher show. And then
Wait a minute. This was your big break.
This is my break.
Somebody heard this and said, that guy's got it, man.
The throws went off. And all I had to say was, ladies and gentlemen, Sonny and Cher. And then he said, who is this guy?
What this audience would be most interested in, obviously, let's talk about Optimus.
There you go.
We were talking earlier, we were doing an interview as to how you got that voice. There's a lot of ways you could have done that character. You could have done broad, but your brother had a softer voice, and he recommended you go soft, right?
Well, partly right. Larry was my brother Larry was a Marine, and he had served in Vietnam. Wounded, he came, he won the Bronze Star, or received the Bronze Star, pardon me. And then became a captain after that. We were living together in Burbank, California. And I was on my way to an audition, and he says, Peter, where are you going? I said, I'm going to audition, Larry. For what? He said, for a truck. And he laughed pretty much the same way you guys are. He said, a truck. And he said, Dad, I'm a truck. But he's a hero, Larry. He's a hero. He said, a hero truck, Peter. Well, Peter, be a real hero. Don't be one of those run-of-the-mill heroes. You know, they're always screaming and yelling. He said, be gentle, be calm, be soft lead, you know. You gotta be strong enough to be gentle. I said, okay. He said, good luck. I took that with me. And Larry, I got to the audition, I read the signs. And Larry just jumped off the page, and I just said, this is his book. Get him. And just the way he would be calm, you know, I'd say.
So tell me how you discovered that into this apparatus, right? Do that voice again, as to how you got it.
I would think down inside and I just thought of Larry he's always truthful, honest, and strong. And he never raised his voice, you know. He could get it done with a look in his eye. And just by saying, you know, if I had, you know, taken his baseball glove or something, he could just look and say, Peter, put it back. Okay, Larry.
Wow. What does Optimus Prime mean to you? Why does the public love him?
Well, it was a surprise to me to find out years later, but I think it's what he stands for. He was brilliantly created, and he's well written, and I just added Larry's composure. And I think it's all about character. I think it's strength of character. I think it resonates with courage, dignity, honor, responsibility, courteousness, and strength.
What about when they have him killed?
That was
What was it like when you got the script and you saw it?
Oh, I think we were about 17 minutes into the script, and I was with Frank Welker, the great Frank Welker. I said, Frank, he said, what page are you on? He said, I just ruffled through and just doing my lines. He said, I'm getting whacked on page 17. You're kidding? No. Well, there go the car payments. I've been saying that for 10 years. You'd think I'd have that car paid off by now.
So then they bring you back much later, right?
They bring me back in 2007 for the first movie, and then the second and third.
Did they have an explanation how he was dead and now not dead?
Well, really hard to configure that. It's really, well, you can do a lot of things with metal.
Hasbro probably rebuilt them.
Oh, Hasbro, God bless them. You know, God bless Hasbro, and especially now the Hub, you know, Discovery Hub. Their network, and we have Transformers Prime now, which is a whole new generation of children, and I'm really grateful for that.
mentioned Frank Welker. He plays Megatron.
Correct.
What is your relationship like off screen?
Frank is one of the most wonderfully talented people, as well as being a wonderful human being. And I'm always amazed by Frank's ability to entertain me. And when we're not entertained, you know, we talk about our own interests. And Frank flies airplanes, which I had an interest years ago, but I wouldn't trust myself in one now. I'm very sick. I think you need ice.
Has the character grown, Upton? Has he?
I think he has. I think he's more mature now. And
you like him, Peter?
I do.
Oh, Peter, you kind of love him, don't you?
I love him.
Peter, is it serious?
Yeah. I especially like his arms. They're very shiny.
You're making news here today, Peter.
No, I do love him for you know, because every time I do him, I'm thinking of Larry. I'm thinking of my brother.
You know, once in a while now, you're one of the best known, unknown people in the world, right? You walk down the street, no one knows you.
That's right.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
You like anonymity?
I do. I made a choice years ago when I finished on-camera work, working with a lot of great talented people, Richard Pryor, Jonathan Winters. They were great opportunities, and I could have explored further into that, but I decided I wanted to raise a family without all the Hollywood hullabaloo, and so moved out to the country, and young Clay and Claire would go up the road to a yellow school bus, and I was in Norman Rockwell heaven.
What's the secret of a successful voiceover? The fact that you can do many things, or is it approach? Do you see the character on the screen when you're doing it, or are you doing it in a cold room?
Well, that's a great question, because all those ingredients are necessary. You have to be able to inspire somebody else. You have to be able to take the animated drawing and come up with a voice that you think would be appropriate for it. And if it's a comedic situation, you certainly have to dig in to find within that voice and the words they give you to make people laugh. And oftentimes that's done by just the character figure itself. But when you look at Transformers Prime, and these are dramatic characters that have taken on almost a human element, and we explore the acting technique more than the voice manipulation.
Do you move your arms and stuff when you talk?
We don't have to do that, because the animators, and between Hasbro Studios, the Hub Network, the animation, and the people behind those scenes, they win Emmys.
Yeah.
I mean, these are extremely talented people, and they are capable of doing the animation just by the intonation of voice or the determination in the voice. They do it, and they make it more real than I think an actor could do it, if he had to impersonate those physical moves.
Have you worked for Disney?
I have.
What's those unhappy about?
I don't think working is never unhappy for me in animation. I mean, I love the actors I work with, for sure.
But you're a little slow on the Disney response.
Well, I was having memory problems.
About the paycheck?
No, I'd rather not go into it.
Okay. I don't want to get this.
I played Eeyore. Eeyore was the little commercial. In all the movies for the last 17, 18, 19 years old.
What did Eeyore sound like?
Hello.
do in Winnie the Pooh?
Eeyore.
That was Eeyore.
Yeah, Eeyore.
Did you ever get a character that stumped you for a while?
Yeah, I had an Australian mouse. He used to talk like that, mate. Hey, you're gonna get him. That's right, mate. Let's get over here now. I used to stumble over that all the time. Partly because it was an Australian accent, and partly because he always had to say silly words like, I don't know, crikey, and all of that stuff. Curl my lip and then I lose it.
Many people consider Optimus Prime a father figure. What do you make of what the public thinks of him?
Well, there's truth to that in many ways. I think Prime's character is trustworthy and he's reliable. And through my experiences in rooms like this, I've talked with young men that didn't have a father, and latchkey kids that were raised by Optimus Prime, and they were very grateful that I was there in their childhood, and that was a big surprise to me, and I developed a huge responsibility to maintain that.
Does he have a fault?
I'm sorry?
Does he have any faults?
He can have faults, and I'm sure I've made them for him.
Is there any weakness in the character you see? Is he too sensitive?
I don't think so. I don't write the script, number one. And if there ever was an opportunity that suggested that perhaps Optimus Prime was leading or going in another direction, I would be very, very insistent to say no. And I've never had that problem.
Would you like him to have a relationship?
That would be very interesting.
I'd like to see the film. I like sparks. Anyway. What we're going to do now, we're going to take questions, and I'll interpose some questions as well. We have a microphone in the middle, but before we do that, this is because Optimus Prime plays a father figure. We're going to show this clip. Watch him play a father figure to his fellow Autobots. Watch.